Hello everybody, Josh12 back here again with another video, and I'm here with another Dragon Ball Super review. Yes, I'm here to review Dragon Ball Super episode 51. Now, of course, if you haven't seen this episode, please go check it out because this review may contain spoilers. But that being said, let's get into the newest episode of Dragon Ball Super. Now, let's put it out there. This episode, I think, will have to be going down in the list of episodes that were really a bore fest. Granted, in the great scheme of things, this Trunks saga has been on fire. It's been magnificent so far, but I feel like this episode, along with the third episode within the saga, has been very lackluster. There wasn't really anything to this episode. There was some good information and tidbits here and there, but overall, I feel like this episode was just one of those things to just set in between the transition periods of what the saga is heading towards, and that's pretty much all it is. But overall, if you had to clarify this episode, it's pretty much into like three sections, and the first section is explaining how Bulma has Cell's time machine. The second section is Goku and Vegeta going their separate ways for training, and then the third section is Trunks talking to Mai and talking about her future self and this whole flashback between Trunks, Mai, and Black. And that's pretty much the extent of what we got with this episode. Now, let's start off with the first part. Now, I feel like, and this is hilariously one of the things that kind of bothers me, and I've talked about it before, and yes, it's Trunks' hair. We get a lot of flashbacks within this episode, and I'm guessing based on the next episode, we're going to get a lot more flashbacks. And I'm going to say this again. Please, Toy Animation, someone associated with the creation of these fucking sagas, fucking give us a legitimacy of why Trunks has different hair. I mean, it was so bafflingly hilarious as to how, when they did the flashbacks of Kid Gohan rather, future Trunks and Bulma went to find this time machine that she found back during the Android and Imperfect Cell saga, and they were just, researching it and all that kind of crazy stuff. They had this sequence that they added into it. It was two specific, very different sequences. One was, of course, reanimation of it, which was Trunks basically taking the time machine, and then the second part of it was Bulma asking for the time machine, which I understand why they did that. The sole purpose of it was to explain how Bulma gets that time machine, because when I did my previous review on the other previous episode, it kind of baffled me where I was like, wow, did Bulma really have that time machine? And when you look back at it, she actually didn't. I mean, like, granted, Trunks did revert it back to its capsule, but I don't really think he ever did give it to her, which is why they reanimated this new sequence to fill in the blanks for this continuity within Super, which I have no problems with. However, it's all done with this grayscale, it's just hilarious because it's done for the sole purpose of not explaining to new viewers as to why Trunks has a color change. They made this mistake in a previous episode when they were flashbacking to, their Kai or whatever, to Dragon Ball Z, where Trunks leaves and he has the purple hair. And I guess they may have gotten some feedback on like, hey, purple hair, blue hair, what are you doing, dummies? And then they were like, okay, well, how about this? How about we do flashbacks, but we just change the filters so it doesn't bother anybody. However, it does still stand because you still have a Kid Trunks who has purple hair. Not to mention the fact that based off the teaser for next episode, they're going to do it again. They're going to change the hair back to blue in flashback form. So that's a whole nother bitching and ranting that I can talk about later, but overall, it's just really annoying that they did that. But I will admit that it is cool to explain the purpose as to how Bulma got the time machine from Cell, so it's really good to see how they filled in the blanks. But moving off of that, we also get some very interesting tidbits on Black. We do get some real time in the future alternate timeline with Black. We get to find out that he's definitely in it to win it. You can definitely tell we learn a lot of things about Black. We learn a lot of things about how and why he's doing what he's doing. He essentially wants to be stronger. He essentially wants to, I guess, use what he's learned from Goku from his current fight with him or previous fight with him in the last episode to improve his skill. And he's definitely becoming a lot stronger. But with that being said, we also get a flashback with Black where we actually learn as to why he's come to this world and really annihilated everybody, which is essentially his reasoning, or at least the reasoning that he gives Trunks in the flashback, which is essentially he wants to annihilate humans for the gods. I guess he feels that from his perspective, from an outside looking in, is essentially he's seen what humans have done, and I guess he feels that humanity has kind of like ruined the universe or the planet or whatever, so he wants to annihilate them so a new, I guess, better world could be built upon it. So that's kind of like his way of thinking. It is kind of two-dimensional of a supervillain to come up with a plan like that, but then again, we still don't know the logistics of everything he's trying to do, so, which I'm guessing we'll get into the Black episode, which I guess will be coming up in following weeks, but overall, very interesting stuff there. But let's get into the second part of this episode, which is what Vegeta says, which was very interesting. Vegeta doesn't really have anything to do with this episode in general. He hasn't really had anything to do with this saga. However, there's a specific thing he says which I wanted to note, which was when he leaves everybody to go train in the gravity room, he says that he would not forgive him, and then he enters the gravity room for training. Same thing with Goku. He kind of like goes off. He asks for Whis for training. Whis and Beerus, once again, I love the dynamic where they're just so pissed off with everybody about, you can't just misuse time. What are you, idiots? And then they're just like, we're not training you, Goku. And Goku just, he's all sad because Goku without training is just, it's like Superman without a cape. It's just stupid. But, they have this dynamic and I like, but then the Vegeta thing is interesting because it kind of makes you think that who is going to beat Black by the end of this saga? This is a little tease, but I get the feeling that what the storyline is heading, and I could be wrong, we could find out that this completely could be a 180, very similar to the future or the previous sagas we got in Dragon Ball Z, where we all thought like, oh, Trunks would win or Goku would win. No, it's actually Gohan. He won and he defeated Cell and all that kind of crazy stuff. However, I get the feeling that based off what Vegeta says here, he's determined, possibly, for the sole purpose of going back into the future of this alternate timeline that Trunks comes from, sole purpose for killing and destroying Black, possibly to avenge what he did to Bulma in the future. That's just my little speculation there, because he says a lot of weird things in this episode where he's just like, I will go back and I'm going to clean up this mess or something like that, and then he goes to the gravity room and it's like, I will never forgive him for this, and it's just very telling. However, I'm going to state this, I kind of don't want that to happen. Now, granted, I'm not saying that as like a uber Goku fan that I know everybody likes to call me out as, but I'm just saying, I'm not saying that I don't want to see Vegeta beat Black. If they do that, they do that. And I'm not going to stand in the sideline saying, that's shit, Goku should win. But the only thing that I say or differ from as to why I'd rather see Goku beat Black is because, number one, it is Goku. He's the main protagonist of the show, and I always will stand behind him as the main hero of the show, regardless of what many others could say or, debate with. However, the second thing is that really annoys me is that Black, for many years within Trunks' timeline, has been a facade. He's been using Goku's persona, look, and body, as far as we know, to do all this crazy, horrible shit. That's just rude. You don't just fucking take a guy's identity. That's fucking forgery. You can't just steal someone's identity and use it for your own personal gain. You can't do that shit. So my kind of dream is kind of like, and I know it won't happen because Goku, being very simplistic and earnest as he is, he's not going to really have an interest or care about like what people think in an alternate timeline of him. I mean, like, especially when it has no effect on his world and with his own personality. But for me as a fanboy of Goku, it just bothers me where you're just like, you ruined an entire legacy that Goku built within that world and destroyed it with this forger, this rude, disrespectful douchebag supervillain with the identity of Goku. So you can't just ruin a guy's, rep. You just can't do that. So that's why I kind of differ with the whole possibility of Vegeta defeating Black or whatever. I know a lot of people are speculating on that, but I'm kind of on the fence on that. I wouldn't hate it if it happens, but I kind of just want Goku just to do it, just to get his rep back on an alternate timeline. That's just my personal feelings on that. However, regardless of any of that, let's get into the third act of this episode, which is the flashback to the future. Now, before we touch upon that, what was with Future Trunks in this episode? I'm going to put it out there. I know a lot of people also have been making jokes on this when it comes to this episode, but this episode was on a high of just pedo nature. It was just, Future Trunks was just a straight up pederast in this whole fucking episode. I mean, he has this moment with Mai, and look, I know it's Mai, and people could debate. It's like, oh, well, Mai's not technically a child. She's a lot older, but she's wished back to a child. So, but she's still a fucking kid on the outside, and it's still fucking creepy. I mean, Future Trunks, there's a large portion where, like, he's just kneeling down, staring into her eyes, and holding her hand, and talking to her gently, and it's some creepy-ass, cringe-worthy shit, man. It truly is. I really don't want to talk about it anymore, but it truly is very disturbing to watch that shit. It's some really hardcore. I don't need that in my Dragon Ball. Come on. I mean, like, it's one thing for Master Roshi to be like a pederast, like, because he's a creepy old man, but come on, man. Not Future Trunks. You're just ruining him even more than you did already with his design and his, his just inability to fucking defeat characters and, fucking leaving Mai in the future possibly dead or alive and shit. It's just, don't make him a pedo too. It's just stupid, but whatever. It is what it is. Moving off of that, the flashback. Now, I touched upon Black's identity, or at least his, reasoning behind what he's doing, but I'm just going to put it out there. The flashback is the best part of what this episode is. The episode gives us really nothing other than just information that fills in certain blanks, but the thing that I take away from being amazing in this episode is this flashback. Black goes on the assault against humanity, and humanity fights back, and they start beating on Black, shooting at him. Mai's kind of like, they're like Sarah Connor, if you will, just kicking ass, and there's this amazing fucking moment where visually, I feel like if you ever saw that, that would be awesome, which would be Black in the middle of a fucking city, and then just explosions happening, skyscrapers falling down on his ass, and having no effect. It's really epic and awesome. Of course, we get another Trunks and Black fight, which is really irrelevant, but it's just so cool to see that kind of thing, and I loved it. It was really the best thing to take away from the episode itself. But with that being said and done, we also do get some more information, which is Senzu beans don't exist in that timeline anymore because Korin is dead, which is sad, but it is something to note. But overall, that is essentially the episode of Dragon Ball Super. Episode 51 was not really anything extravagant or amazing, but it was cool to see some changes within Black's character. It was cool to see, like how Bulma got the time machine. It was nice for Goku acting like a dunce and what have you. I will admit that whole fucking Krillin and Piccolo shit, I'm not gonna stand for that. I don't care. I don't think a lot of people have touched upon it yet, but I'm not standing for that shit. That's disrespect. Disrespect. Piccolo and Krillin are two of the best characters in Dragon Ball, and they're reduced to like maids. They're reduced to cleaning ladies. Are you fucking kidding me with that shit? I love Bulma, but I don't fucking stand for that shit. I don't care who you fucking are. You don't fucking tell them to do... I mean, like, it's one thing for Chi-Chi to tell them to do that because, it's Chi-Chi, but you don't fucking tell Piccolo and Krillin after they just came over here out of their own free will just to tell them, oh, go clean up the mess. You have nothing to do. You're irrelevant. Go clean up the mess. Fuck you. I don't fucking care. That really bugged me. I'm not gonna lie. The Trunks pedo shit bugged me, and the whole fucking Piccolo and Krillin having to clean up the mess that, was caused because of Black and Goku's fight, it really bugged me. It was just really annoying. But it is what it is. Overall, this episode was it was okay, but it wasn't anything extravagant. So my overall rating or final verdict for this episode of Dragon Ball Super has to go down as a solid 6 out of 10. And mostly I say that because of the flashback with Trunks, Mai, and Black, but overall everything else was kind of just meh. So let me know what you personally think in the comment section below. And, of course, we got a trailer for the next episode, which looks phenomenal. It's going to be the Gohan and Trunks episode. I'm not going to lie. I've been waiting a long time to see this episode. I can't lie. I know it's probably going to be boring, And some fans could be like, where's Goku and Vegeta? I want to see more of that. It's like, okay, sure, but this is something that needs to happen. This needs to be shown. I want to see Trunks meet up with Gohan, find out what a complete nerd he's become, but also feel kind of happy that he's kind of had, like, a horrible life in his timeline, but a wonderful life in this timeline. It would be really cool, dynamic. Also, we're going to get some flashbacks from History of Trunks, which kind of bugs me because History of Trunks is already a masterpiece as it is, so to, like, reanimate it just to make Kid Trunks' hair blue is just, it's really disgraceful. But whatever, it is what it is. Gohan and Trunks doing their thing. Can't wait to see. I'm expecting a lot of comedic elements to come out of that. Of course, Goku, Whis, and Beerus will be going to different universes to find out more information on Black and other stuff like that. So, a lot of cool stuff. Maybe the first appearance of this weirdo Kaioshin, this Kai that we keep seeing in the titles. So, a lot of great stuff to come up with the next episode that I can't wait to see. But let me know what you personally think in the comment section below. But with that being said and done, that's going to be the end of this review. My final verdict, rather, is a solid 6 out of 10. Let me know what you personally think in the comment section below. But with that being said and done, shameless plug time. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Josh12. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And hope you guys enjoyed. And this has been Josh12.